Kingdom Outkast podcast is a platform for us to simply express our thoughts, opinions, and experiences concerning our faith and events around the world. We're here for your entertainment, encouragement, and edification of the body. We're humans like yourself and are not the final authority of views expressed. Only the Most High Yah is. Feel free to agree, disagree, edify, question, and comment however you're led to in the comments. We are many members of one body under Messiah and look forward to communing as a family with mutual respect. Shalom and enjoy the pod. Kingdom Outkast.
Welcome to Kingdom Outkast, episode 29. We are your hosts. My name is Deja.
My name is Elijah.
And Mashak, Brandon Mashak.
We are excited to be here.
For sure. We
Back
are.
in the building.
So, what's new, guys? Tell me, how was your week? What's exciting? What's annoying? What are we happy about? Who are we beefing with?
So many beefs.
Walking around with this beef.
So many beefs.
On-site beef on too.
Literally.
Yeah.
Not just regular beef.
One thing, yesterday, I watched The Prince of Egypt. I purchased it, and I'm like, okay, now I officially own it.
For the first time?
No, I've seen it many times.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like as a kid.
You know, I just had to remind myself of how amazing the Most High is, how he just delivered us from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a good reminder to see that. And I saw like a lot of parallels to the Negroes' experience in America. Like as you look at how great of a civilization Egypt was back in the day with the sphinxes and their the majesty, the pomp, you know, it just very much reminds me of the pinnacle of capitalism that we've reached in the States. And it's just like when I say like we're literally like living in a spiritual Egypt, you know, I feel that. I say it to people sometimes in the Christian church, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Look at the back of your dollar bill. Like, look at Washington D.C. Look at like how it's just set up." But,
No, this is God's country. This is a Christian nation, Elijah.
Yeah, you're right about the whole
Founded.
DC thing. Like if you go down the capital, the rabbit hole of how the city is like built and how the street, like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, they say it's like laid out in a pentagram, you know. But I mean, you see the obelisk. You've got sphinxes there. Yeah, just wildness. But outside of that, my week's been good. Also, yesterday I got to just enjoy a lot of time in nature, so that was nice. I told myself that this summer I want to be outside, but not like in the streets outside.
Like literally outside, soak it up.
Outside. Yeah. You know, just get my melanin right. So, Stone Mountain, that's the spot. I did that hike, and it was so rough. I almost like hurt my knee really bad. You know.
What did you like slip?
Like,
or you just like
I slipped, yeah. I slipped coming down, and it was just like too steep, and yeah, I had to ice it up last night. But
You're young. You'll bounce back.
I don't know. These limbs are they're not the same age as my
Negro,
You are
man, I don't want to hear it, man.
There's no such thing as hurt when you're under 28.
You don't know the pain, that I go through.
Completely fine.
But yeah, so I mean, my week's been good. Yeah, it's been all right. Just been working, trying to get better at like working outside of work, because I'm in this space where I need to stop working Saturdays. So I have to get back into the first face Elijah. Like when you first like interview for a job, I have to get back into that.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I'm meeting people that I haven't met before, you know, so I gotta kind of get back in interview mode and just being able to sell myself a lot better.
It's definitely coming. You've been talking about this for a while with Toyota, and I know your next opportunity is like around the corner.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm trusting the Most High, but it's just like I'm just ready. Just ready to be just knowing and doing it. So
I guess,
yeah. How's your guys' week been? Who you guys got beef with?
Shit, I'll go next. Shoot, man. This week has been interesting, I guess. started off. I mean, well, this is last weekend, but had a good time. Me and Deja and some of her friends were going to Jazz Festival. Went to a couple functions. It was a good time, man. A real good time last weekend. I haven't been around that many people in so long.
I feel like we needed that.
No, for real, definitely needed
like 2
it.
days of full, literally just fun. Like,
yeah,
just
definitely.
outside, talking smack, kicking it, laughing, meeting new people. We needed that.
For sure.
No space, but we argued.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, we got a good. And I love like the setting where I don't have to say nothing. I just watch you argue with Gina. I'm like, yes, get him, please.
I haven't been in an argument in a long time.
Okay,
I don't know what y'all mean when y'all if y'all
conversation.
It's a good debate.
When y'all see veins pop out of my skull and my face turn red, you know I'm arguing.
Banter.
But yes, a little
sharing
banter.
Of opinions.
Yeah, man. It was a really good time, man. To see so many beautiful people out there. Being around so many beautiful black people, dog. Bruh, I love people in general, but man, the smell of shea butter in the air, the afros, the styles,
Who was giving that?
the kids,
kids.
throwing balls and kicking balls and hitting people.
Not caring, continuing to throw the ball, like.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Piedmont Jazz Festival was a vibe. But yeah, man, it was just good, man. It was really good. And for the rest of the week, just been working, man. It's nothing too special, man. Just been keeping busy with work. Trying to, I've been going back and forth with my reading in between First Kings and the Way of the Essenes. I've been a little slow, Elijah, but I'm at the part where he's leaving Mount Carmel now. Mount Carmel.
You already read this?
Yeah, how far are you? Are you at the end yet?
The Way of the Essenes.
The Way of the Essenes.
I thought you were.
Remember the book?
Oh yeah.
You suggested to me?
Dude, I stopped reading that, so you're probably farther than
Oh,
me.
you tapped out.
I didn't tap out, I just forgot.
You
Set it down.
Yeah, just set it down.
I'm enjoying it. Other than that, man. That show Evil I've been watching.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching it after you mentioned it.
Yeah, they started this new season. It's not a big spoiler, but it's kind of a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
But the first season is about them going to CERN. Oh my gosh!
Oh wow!
I was like, oh, these folks are.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this though. One thing I don't like that much about the show is, the atheists in the show, they're pretty solid in what they don't believe, but you do see them experience things that has them waver, right? But they just rationalize it as our mind and blah. The priest, he wavers way more, I feel like, in his walk. And so I don't like how they're depicting. He has a good depiction, I feel like, but I just felt like it could have been a stronger
They make him
depiction.
look weak a little.
Yeah, a little bit, you know what I mean? And he's black, he's big and black, but I'm still hanging on with the show. It's been interesting. The turn it's taken at where it is. See, now that you're watching, I can't say too much. But there's some it's I've been enjoying the show. But yeah, that was my week, man. Nothing too much.
My week has been good. I had a few in-person meetings, like connecting opportunities for work. My boss took me to meet our banking partners that manage all of our client accounts. And this upcoming week, I'm going to go with him and have a meetup with a really big real estate investor here in Atlanta. And he's like telling me, he's like, I'm going to take you to meet this woman. This woman is no joke. Like, to her, like a deal, like if I'm going to like put effort into a deal and like a money making opportunity, she's trying to make like $200,000 minimum per transaction. Like, that's the level that she's at. So we're working on some stuff for our clients to invest in a affordable housing complex out in Conyers, and it's 120 some units, and they're expecting like an 80% return in 3 years, 3 to 5 years on the business opportunity. And so like when I'm working with our guys, like I do most of the transactional, like day-to-day administrative work, helping with the relocation, like responding to requests from the banking team. And so I have to literally like pull my boss aside and ask him to let me know like the bigger vision and the things that he's working on, because he's not as in the day-to-day, but he's like building connections and finding ways to like basically, you know, help our clients be able to get into these like big investing opportunities. That's very different than like, oh, let's just take money and put it in a fund and the fund is going to be like self-managed. Like, no, I'm looking for like opportunities to take like several $100,000 and turn it into $1 million, like whatever. These are things I'm interested in, so I'm super grateful for that. We also had one of our directors in my corporate job who came, and she was in town and she hit us up, like me and one of my comrades, and was like, hey, I'm going to be in the Atlanta office, let's grab lunch. So I got to do like a face-to-face with her. She actually interviewed me for the role, which obviously, you know, I got the role. So it was nice to meet with her in person and actually get like show her how serious I am about my future with the organization and add value in the conversation when we're talking about new processes and things that we're rolling out. Like I always try and take the opportunity to like speak up or add value to the conversation and let them know like, hey, I know that you all have said that this is the way that the new process should work, but I'm just going to let you know like here are the potential roadblocks based on what I see and what I work on. And actually I've gotten a lot of positive feedback for the moments where I decided to like not be too afraid to speak up. And they're like, no, thank you for saying that, because we really did not know that. Like from our point of view, we don't know what it looks like in the weeds in the day to day. So I basically like, you know, had a few opportunities this week to
show your value.
To show my value.
Yeah.
To sit in, have in-person conversations in a world where I mostly work remote. Like I rarely meet up with my boss, the football manager. I rarely ever see people. Like I don't get to have sit-downs at lunch. So when I do, I try to put my best foot forward. So that was good.
That's good.
Also, made a new friend this past weekend, and for me it was really like on time, because I have been kind of like going through a depression. I think like a really quiet depression, and just like feeling kind of lost and not really understanding why. You know, just had like a range of emotions from like frustration to anger to like annoyance, like getting into it with my friends and people I love, and like meeting a total random stranger and feeling like free enough to say like, these are my insecurities, this is what I'm pissed about, this is what I hate about life, these are all the times I was disappointed, and like actually get feedback that made me feel like, wow, maybe my thinking is wrong. I don't know, something about it was just like very freeing for me. And it felt like a healing, like almost like healing, like wow, like I was holding all these things in, all these like angry negative thoughts and insecurities and annoyances, and like maybe it was time for me to like free that up and like allow it to bounce off someone else's brain who's totally no context, like no, like I don't feel like I'm gonna be judged or feel like I can hold back, and like it was just exactly what I needed. So I feel 10 pounds, if not 20 pounds lighter going into this week. Like I feel really, really good.
It's an interesting situation on like the dynamic between people who are friends and close to you, and then complete strangers. You know, it's kind of like how they say, strangers will support you before your family does. You know, sometimes like being able to like unload, or vent to somebody who does not know anything about your life is just kind of cool, because granted, say they stay there or not, like at least you unloaded and unpacked that. And it's not like even with what you unloaded and unpacked, they would even bring that up again. I don't know.
It's almost like talking to like a therapist or like a counselor.
For sure.
It's like it's someone who's new into your life, and they don't really have a stake in your life. They haven't already like developed a perspective. It's a
Uh-huh.
whole fresh perspective that you're getting
Mhm.
on what you're expressing to them. So it's like, I don't know.
Right, and then
That is
on the
definitely
flip
comforting.
side, it's like, I want to tell me what you're hurt about. Like, what are you angry about? Who hurt you? Like, what are the
Mhm.
things that, and actually hearing that and caring.
Yeah.
Again, for someone that I really don't know like that, I was like, this was exactly what I needed on this day and this time. Like, it happened perfect how I needed to happen.
Her.
I'm happy you got that.
Thanks.
That's
Because
a
you know, I was
blessing.
kind of pissy. Like, we run together and I talk to you and I
Yeah.
tell you, I was like, I got into it like with my homegirls. Like, I'm just walking around with an attitude. I feel the need to defend myself all the time. I feel the need to like explain why I am the way I am, and like none of that is coming from a place of like feeling safe and feeling like protected or like joy and peace. It's like a place of like fear and anxiety and like projecting.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need like
We don't need that outlet, you know?
Mhm.
Like you said,
to see
Brandon,
yourself
like,
in the mirror and be like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't even have to do that. Like, I don't even have to do all that.
yeah.
Like, why was I doing all that?
Doing too much.
All right, so now you guys are gonna get a better, nicer, kinder version of me.
I'm here for it.
Claps.
Like off clap.
Okay.
That's
All
fine.
right, time for the precept.
Precept. So this week I chose a precept that I came across in my reading, and it is on leadership. So I'm coming from Titus 1:6, and I'm going to read to 9. And this is the CJB version. It says, a leader must be blameless, a husband to one wife, with believing children who do not have a reputation for being wild or rebellious. For an overseer, as someone entrusted with God's affairs, must be blameless. He must not be self-willed or quick-tempered. He must not drink excessively, get into fights, or be greedy or of dishonest gain. On the contrary, he must be hospitable, devoted to good, sober-minded, uprightness, holiness, and self-control. He must hold firmly to the trustworthy message that agrees with the doctrine, so that by his sound teaching, he will be able to exhort and encourage, and also to refute those who speak against it. And so, I wanted to, I guess, kind of have a discussion on leadership.
That verse is interesting because most leaders aren't chosen like that or picked like that. I don't even know if they look at people's family, you know. Like when I experiencing Israel's ordination, when I looked at him and his family, I was like, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, nobody knows of his kids and children wilding out. Pastor Omar either, or Bishop William. Like, you know, they're well learned, very steady. They have, you know, passionate, you know, beliefs, and they're consistent. So,
In their homes are in order.
yeah, the homes are in order. Like so when you look at their kids and their family and all that, you're not really responsible for your adult kids, but it's kind of like how well did you really instill in your kids, train them up. And you see in the word, there's really no excuses either. Like when it comes to that, you know. So yeah, if we held people to that standard today, we probably wouldn't even have a lot of these janky preachers.
Yeah.
And I think, like, historically, it was kind of understood that if you're going to be the leader of a congregation, you must have a wife, like, because otherwise the appearance will be that you are probably, like, sleeping around, or you're available for women and so forth. And so now you have a lot more pastors who are single. I remember went to a church that's, like, right up the street from here, and the biggest red flag for me was that there were all these black women, younger black women, that were single, or at least they were at church by themselves. A few men trickled in. The pastor was single, and he had a way of getting all the women in an uproar. Like, they were about to, like, rush the stage by the time, like, the peak of the message. And to me, I was like, something in the spirit there is, like, not right. Like, so you're some kind of tool of manipulation is being used to get all these women in such an uproar to where, like, other men don't even want to attend this church. So I think there's a reason that, like, it is in the word for the family structure to be intact, for you to be qualified as a leader.
Granted, yeah, and it doesn't mean like to be a leader you have to be married. Like Yeah, I think what was that verse talking about specifically? Was it talking about pastorship or just leadership?
Elders.
It says leader as the word, but like in another version, I wonder.
Well, I would just say, like, you know, because you look at Paul, right? He chose not to marry, right? He was an apostle. He created congregations, but he wasn't, you know, the leader over it. You know what I mean? So,
The King James Version uses bishop. A bishop
Bishop?
must be blameless, if any be blameless.
okay, yeah, they're talking about somebody who's over leadership over a congregation. So you can be in leadership and not married, but if you're leading a congregation, it's better to be married.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, you know. At the end of the day, the Most High does want his quote unquote church to represent, him, as a husbandman, and you know, us as the bride. You know what I mean?
Right.
Every kind of face that structure, but there is also the perspective of you can get more done as a single person. You know, which Paul, talked about, where a lot of the Essenes, purposely didn't take marriage because they believed storing their semen up, gave them, spiritual power to work miracles and stuff like that, So, yeah, no, very, very good verse, man. Something that needs to be thrown at a lot of pastors, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. The marriage thing, I think, is really important for men. I think it's an accountability thing. And also, of course, us as men, we are coverings over our wives, but there's a covering that women do for men too.
Mm-hmm.
Really in the spiritual realm, and just being able to be a helpmate in the sense of giving discernment where a man may not be able to see certain things, or
Yeah.
I think even with pastoring a flock, when you have to
She's here.
yeah, that was weird. Did you
I'm
see
trying
that?
to connect to Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
And I
about to
think
say,
we were trying to share it.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second now.
Right.
Oh, really?
Like all four of our devices just blinked at the same time.
Yeah, that was weird. But them being able to see certain things, and just covering their husband in those situations, I think is best for leaders to have one wife, like the word says, because there's so many routes. Being single, I realize that there's so many temptations and things that you can fall victim to, and there's just so many stumbling blocks out here nowadays that men can get into, whether it's other women, other men, crazy things, and that should just not. It's not becoming of a leader of any congregation, especially of the Most High. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Hebrew word I wanted to discuss is leader.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was trying to connect to the Wi-Fi because the internet has been a little slow. But let me see him bring it up. I just cut out this little bit of. All right, so the Hebrew word for leader, we have 57 Strongs. Nagid, all right, Nagid. The definition, it's a noun, masculine noun, translation, phonetic spelling, Nagid. Definition, a leader, ruler, or prince. Chief officer, commander, leader, noble things, nobles, officer, officers, princes, ruler. Strong exhaustive concordance, captain, civil, military, or religious, commander, generally honorable themes, captain, chief, excellent thing, governor, noble prince. And its root comes from the Hebrew word nagad, which nagad is 5046, to be conspicuous. Answered, confess, confront another, certainly, indeed, fully reported, explained, display, shown, tell, told plainly, uttered. And then for Strong's exhaustive concordance on the God, to stand boldly out opposite, by implication, to manifest, figuratively to announce, specifically to expose, predict, explain, praise, berate, certify, declare, denounce, plainly profess, messenger, rehearse, report, shew, speak, surely, tell. Yeah, it goes in.
I think utter was one word, and then like he followed it up with to be bold. I think that's what leaders are called, to be bold and speaking what they are being led to say.
Right, and it typically is not with, like, it's the differentiating from the group that makes the leader the leader. Like, it's the one, like, the person who's like, hey, I know, like, everyone says, like, I know society says this, I know the group says, like, the group thinking is this way, but, like, let's think another way.
Yeah. I think also they gathered the group well. So, like, you know how, like, the majority of us, you know, we don't eat pork. So our leader will be like, no, we're not eating pork on, like, the state capitol type stuff, you know?
Yeah,
So he expresses what the group is feeling.
Yes.
Boldly.
Yes.
We all are bold, but, you know, the leader's just like, this is how we rolling.
Yeah, and setting the tone.
Yes.
And gathering it, that's a good explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Current events.
That's good.
Current events.
All right, cool. Current events. Let's see. Okay, so we start with new music. I feel like, have any of y'all been on the new music that's come out lately?
I did listen to Eshon Burgundy's new album.
Me as well. Yeah, I listened to that this past week.
Yeah, me too. It's on Apple Music, so.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna listen to this. It's called Eyes on the One from Nazareth.
I liked it. I thought there was a lot of good, like, language in there. My only qualm with, like, conscious rap, even like Eshon Hebrew rap, is that sometimes it gets, like, so wordy that you can't just vibe out to the song. Like, I felt like this album has, like, word, precept, lesson, teaching, next song, word, precept, lesson, teaching, next song. Like,
getting a sermon
every song. So there wasn't as many that you can just, like, you know, just vibe,
mean,
kind of vibe out. But as far as, like, the content of what he was saying, it was very well written and, like, good music.
Yeah, I like the word precept, teaching type of music. I think that it just goes well in regards to, like, just listening to it and vibing to it. And I will say, this album was a lot more word precept than Lost Sheep.
Yeah.
And I do actually like the Lost Sheep album. I like that.
This is more of an EP, you think?
I didn't think about that.
Because it's only like four or five songs.
Yeah, there's not that many songs. So that's a good point.
Okay.
But I think the Lost Sheep album, it had just so many great beats and hooks. And I mean, of course, the word was there and the precepts are right, but the beats and the hooks were like, oh yeah, this is something like I'm playing.
Yeah.
I don't care who's in the car with me. Like, I don't care if you
Yeah.
believe in Christ Jesus. Like, yo, we gonna listen to this because it's a vibe.
And he included the instrumental
Mm-hmm.
Lost Sheep on the last album.
Oh yeah.
This album, there's no instrumentals.
That's true. Yeah, but I liked it. My favorite song was Sabbath Morning.
So smooth.
Oh,
You like that?
Yeah, that was my favorite song on this one. I'm still letting it grow on me, but as of right now, Sabbath Morning is my favorite.
I
What'd you think of it?
didn't listen to Lecrea.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Not that I wouldn't. I just
I just you know, I probably should listen to it.
We jump into Lecrea. Hold up, Eshon.
Oh, yeah.
No, I like the album too. When I did not like, when I grew up on Christian music, a lot of it I couldn't get because I just didn't understand what was being said.
Yeah.
Because I didn't read the Bible like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now that I've actually read the word, I can actually go back to a lot of that music and understand what's being said and appreciate the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's kind of like, how I feel about this album. Like, because I've read certain things or I know the stories, I understand it, and I do like lyricism. I'm really big on lyricism, so it was cool with me. I like Eshon's like chill style.
Yeah.
Like his music is real, like it is thinker music.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I enjoyed it a lot, man. Eshon definitely is, I think, a top tier, hip hop, artist and lyricist for sure.
I agree.
I definitely enjoyed Lecrea, his new drop. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one here who listens to Lecrea. But he dropped the song "Still Here." It's very motivational. I've had it on like.
So he just dropped a song.
He just dropped a song.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah, he
definitely
just
gonna
dropped.
check it out.
Yeah. It's called
Yeah.
"Still Here."
That's easy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, man. Lecrea is a master at music because he's so diverse in the sounds he does, and he can sound current without sounding corny. Like bro's pushing 40, I believe, right? Over 40 or something, right?
Wow.
Like to be able to, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know how we
But
It's
he's
like
older
the
than- he's
style,
older
like
than
understanding like the style, the current style of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can do stuff like that sounds young, but it's still mature.
Yeah, I like that.
Like that's hard to do.
Yeah.
To sound current.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just give kudos to Lecrea on that.
Yeah.
His song.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
For sure.
So, a funny story. I was like working on my laptop, missed a call from my boss at corporate, called him back, and he's like, "Hey, you're calling me like right as they're announcing like the verdict for Trump." I was like, just calling you back, like so sorry. And he's like, all right, like, what's up? Like he's trying to get off the phone or whatever. And like moments later, he sends a chat to our team, and it's like, Trump found guilty on 34 counts of such and such on hush money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hush money trial. And I would love to hear what you guys are thinking, but I would like to first say that I think that the hush money case with Stormy Daniels or whatever is like super low hanging fruit. Like they almost couldn't get him on anything possibly else, but this was the only thing they could pin him on. Like everything they said about all of the fraud and the financial records and Mar-a-Lago and all, like they couldn't pin him on absolutely anything but $100,000 sent for hush money for having sexual relations with a porn star, and the only thing they could get him on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can see why he would still be able to run because, like, I think that in New York, whatever he's been accused of or he's found guilty on is like a misdemeanor.
Oh yeah, it's not criminal.
It's not criminal.
It's civil. Interesting.
I'm just more concerned about the after effects. That's really where I'm at. I don't care how they got to all of this, to be honest. Like, the government, like, taking the government to court, like, it's all junk to me, to be honest. Because whether this is legit and real, right, this isn't a play, whether he knows the judge or not, whatever, I don't know. Like, really seeing after the freaking Dr. Fauci in the government and all of that, I don't believe none of it. But the public perception, though, them gun stocks started going up after that verdict.
Right.
Smith & Wesson literally went like this. You know what I'm saying?
So, like, what does that mean? Like, people are going stocking up all of a sudden?
Just think of this. Just think of the average, like, Trump supporter, which is, I'm not even going to describe. But
the Trumper, we know what you mean.
But you're big on gun laws or gun accessibility, so it could be a thing from their mind. Oh, they're getting rid of Trump and they're gonna come for us. Like, you know what I mean? It could be this country's gonna go to hell. Yeah, this country's gonna go to hell now that Trump is. Let's get our guns and get ready. Like Like, think about it. Like, it's going to be a lot of preparative mindset. Because a lot of Trump supporters are the preppers.
Right.
Are the ones who kind of, like, looking at what's going on. Are the conspiracy theorists a lot. Like to be real, like...
establishment, bro. Against the elites.
Right? Which is why I always say, the Republican side is the white side of the Masonic checkerboard.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They look like the good guys, but it's still deception. So I do think a lot of the supporters are going to lose their minds and go into depression. And you know, this could go into civil war.
But you think
Yeah,
so you're saying contingent upon like he'll still win, and therefore this may be the outcome?
I mean,
I don't know about him winning. I just know that if he's guilty, and they say Trump is going to jail,
Yeah, there'll be an uproar.
it's going to to be out.
I think
that would be
a big
meaning he
uproar.
doesn't win.
yeah,
And that Civil War movie was definitely too close
yeah.
for predictive programming. They should have dropped it last year.
I very much have the same sentiments in regards to, you know, this is just a scene in the play, and the stage is just being set. I think that what Trump's been able to do since leaving office, and the way that whether it's through active what the Biden administration has been able to do with losing so much of the populist's vote, and also just kind of drawing battle lines and losing I feel like the majority of the public's favor, the Biden administration has done, whether it's through attacks from the Trump camp or just Republicans in general versus Democrats. I think that what has happened now with this verdict being released is that this has tipped the public's favor almost all the way over to Trump's side. And I mean, I do still think that there's people that are not going to go for Trump. Of course. There's always going to be the those liberals that are going to ride it out because they want to have what they want. And
I mean, I think that's a lot, though.
I still think
most
it's
20s
Yeah.
somethings.
It's like a love-hate thing. Like, there's no in-between. You're either, fully a Trumper or you literally hate him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot who literally hate him.
Yeah. I think that the sentiment, though, I'm starting to realize, at least on the social media platforms I'm on, they, with them indicting Trump or, him being found guilty, it's almost you're making all the people guilty. So, they all feel a connection to Trump because it's oh, this is something that they would do to me, too.
Right.
And I think that's dangerous, the amount of power that people are starting to give to Trump. Because the Civil War movie, regardless of what happens with the outcome of the election, people are going to be rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
If Trump doesn't win, Civil War. If Trump wins, potentially Civil War. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to predict anything, but that's the vibes, And I mean, now we're here in the month of June, a very hot month, testing month. We still got
Yep.
wars going on in the Middle East. We got everyone who wants to protest and wave their flag. So it's perfect timing.
The timing is perfect.
Mm-hmm. So it's just, I don't know. I just see it as it's gonna be interesting to see the aftermath of it and what comes of it when September comes around, October comes around.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when it's I learned that they're actually supposed to be having a debate here in Atlanta. RFK, Trump, and Biden.
Oh,
yeah,
that's gonna be
in Atlanta.
good.
It's gonna be crazy down here.
Why here,
RFK
bro?
That's
has
what
my
I'm saying. Why
attention.
here?
RFK has my attention.
Keep that ghetto stuff, bro.
And they're also gonna be on X too, doing a town hall with just RFK and Trump. I don't think they want Biden on there, but yeah, it's just
I don't think Biden can get a word in.
Bro, there was this recent video that I saw of him looking back and smiling. I'm like, he's gone. This man is gone. He just bro. I would not put him on.
No, they be having him looking crazy.
I would not put him on a stage if I was the Democrats. But I think honestly, they could. They're gonna have to do something because he's not the best candidate. They're gonna need someone else who can show face to the party.
It's too late for that, so
I don't know.
moving on.
Yeah, let's move on. In other conservative news,
Right.
we see the Fed ceasing Alex Jones' studio in Texas.
The way that Alex Jones keeps this ongoing beef with the feds at all times, like, I'll forget about him because there will be no news on him, but they're actively pursuing him at all times for all things at all times. Like, it never stops.
And people, these are demons. I don't know.
He actually went to go and apologize. Like, he had to publicly apologize for things he was wrong about.
Yeah.
Not long ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember
that wasn't enough. They continue to pursue him, to silence him, and discredit everything that he's exposed.
I kind of remind him. He reminds me of the side that Trump's on in the white part of the checkerboard.
I do look at Alex Jones as a controlled opposition, to be honest.
I think Trump is
you
too.
know, and if, for those who don't know who Alex Jones is, he's the one who broke into Bohemian Grove
InfoWars
and got the videos, you know, and the content of the people worshiping the owl and the mock sacrifice rituals and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, I personally just look at this all as like orchestrated, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's protected. I think he literally probably knows Trump, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like...
I'm sure he knows.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I think he's good.
Control op, though. I don't think that.
I think that, honestly...
I really think, like, he actually is trying to uncover these things. I really don't.
I think he may have initially started out, but once you start getting up high with the information,
Mm-hmm.
and people know that you know this information, and you have a platform, you're going to have to compromise.
And
if you
that
want to
or die.
And the thing is that people in power want us to know a certain amount.
They have to let us know.
They want us to know. It's actually a religious and masonry. I think I read it one time on here, you know, in their Morals and Dogma book. But what they do is they reveal mysteries or truths to you in riddles or through certain avenues, to where the elect, it would educate, and for the ones who are supposed to be misled, they'll be misled. Like, so it's a thing where they have to tell us what's happening. So he would actually be doing his job and telling us what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, the evil. How evil genius is it for evil to put
Good.
something that looks good in front of you, but you don't realize it's still evil.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the two-party system.
Yeah.
Funded by the same people.
For sure.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, man.
Very interesting as we are seeing the foundations of our society start to shift a little.
For sure.
You know, like with
Dismantle.
freedom of speech, you know, and the Constitution, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Very much starting to get dismantled. But hey, what does the Most High Word say? It talks about all this stuff, you know.
For sure.
And Babylon coming under judgment.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so did y'all have any water-related issues this week? Like, were you affected by apparently, like, there was a huge water break in many parts of Atlanta with the main water system?
Yeah.
Did that affect you?
I didn't have it. The only water issues I've ever had was like maybe 2 months ago or something. And Marietta, some type of sewage or something got into the water supply. And I was living right in the inside corner of that. So it was like boiling stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I wasn't affected by this, gladly, because I purposely stayed 30 minutes from the city.
Smart, yeah.
But I'm stuck not near the city either. But first I
You're
noticed.
not near the city?
Okay,
This
well,
is the city.
This is. Okay, I'm like 20 minutes outside the city though. But
Really?
I would say so. We're very close to Spaghetti Junction. Nonetheless, I noticed a couple of days this week that my downstairs kitchen water, like when I'm turning it on, the water pressure is very low. So I'm like, a pipe better not have burnt. Like, as a homeowner, when anything starts to go right, I'm like, okay, we need to get to the bottom of this like right away.
Yeah.
Like, is it pump related? And then I hear my homegirl Gina lives all in Midtown. Her water's completely off. Then I get a message at the gathering spot that the facility's closed due to the water break.
Yeah.
They're over there in Midtown near Georgia Tech. And so I'm like, how can... That's just how fragile our little systems are in these cities.
Bro, we didn't even realize.
We have no idea. Her
Think
water
about
was
electricity.
completely off for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then after that, when they turn it back on, there's like a boil order.
Yeah.
Because now you're telling us not to trust the water that does come through.
Right.
Like, this is potentially contaminated water, so boil it.
It's crazy. I think it's so fragile. We don't realize how fragile like our public infrastructure is.
Yeah.
Not even just water, but like electricity, gas, Yeah, the one when you just mentioned like your water pressure's been a lot lower. I just realized that for myself too. Like my toilet hasn't been flushing as strong as it has in the past. Now I'm in,
Right.
over in DeKalb, so like I was like, oh, my skin looks good. I got that good water, but
That's how
it's
far
still
you can only go about 1 day without a flushing toilet.
yeah.
Maybe a couple of hours.
Well, yeah.
That's how fragile, like,
It really makes you.
sitting in your toilet
Oh yeah, it's
because
crazy.
of the water, like, the smallest little thing could turn this into.
A really bad situation.
Yeah.
I mean, think about if you did not get the boil alert and you were drinking that water, think
Right.
about the effects of that over time. Potentially, you could have been exposed to
Think
toxic
about the
chemicals.
elderly. Think about women who happen to go into labor the very moment that they cut the water off.
Yeah.
You need to go down to the hospital and
And
you can't.
this is one of the beefs that I have with our government. It's like we can spend billions, trillions of dollars on military defense and trying to have more territory, but oh my gosh, I saw this video of it was different weapons in the military. One of them was a rocket, one of them was a plane just flying, and each time a rocket came off, you saw a dollar figure.
Yeah.
It was like $1 million, like $20,000 for like just this helicopter flying a couple of miles. I'm like, bro, this is insane. Like, this will wipe out all my debt, and this will also fix our roads and our utilities.
Right.
But it's just like our infrastructure is so antiquated. It's so old that I don't think people realize that. And I think that's why, like, there's gonna be some sort of correction because not only are we're engaging in a proxy war, but so are our enemies.
Right.
And they can access our critical infrastructure. So we're gonna see.
I hear that.
Messy.
So this week, our main topic is on church hurt. Just want to have an open discussion on what that looks like. Have you experienced church hurt, and how we can overcome that in y'all?
I really have never experienced real church hurt. Yeah, I'll just start out by saying that. Like, never from a church. I do
But
think
anybody in the congregation, a church member.
Not necessarily. I mean, the best example I could have is, and I love her for this, and I thank her for this, was my grandmother. When we were coming up, she was very, very like, we had vacation Bible school in the summer, and it was just like a dread,
She was dragging it all along.
Yeah, dragging us along, it's like
vacation Bible school.
Why? You yeah. Me in bed?
Anyways.
So yeah. I think my church hurt is like, I never really got deep into church politics or being a member at a church because my parents were never really members at a church. So
set up by the government.
Yeah. So
Has a board.
I've always been just wide-eyed, when I go in. I'm just like, hey, I'm here. Optimistic. I do realize that what the Most High has helped me out with, and I think that if someone is experiencing church hurt, that they should do is just go to His Word and really just build up your faith by reading His Word, and find a community that is not going to be caring about the works of man, like the outward appearance, but more so like your heart, and cultivating a relationship with the Most High, because that's really what's important. Getting into God's Word, praying, and fasting, and doing it individually, so that when you do find another congregation, that you don't project that prior hurt that you may have experienced, or feelings, judgments, whatever it was, onto the new community that you found. And that's really, I think it's just it's a healing process.
Well, I've been hurt at church.
Yeah,
man. That's really kind of what spiraled me off into this whole truth thing. And I'm not talking about her from the time that the other members were able to whoop me, Because I definitely had some of those, right?
Not anyone could just, if you see this little boy and he's being bad, you feel free to
I
whoop
mean,
him.
yeah, y'all wasn't brought up like that around people trusting around your family that other people could whoop you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had some spankings from uncles.
I'm a girl, so not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
You also weren't bad.
Well,
I'm a woman, but I was a girl, and I was bad.
Oh, you weren't bad?
Like, I didn't like tear stuff up, but I had too much to say for a little girl. Like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
someone tell this little girl to like stop.
Yeah.
the core of my church hurt, I think, mostly came from, I don't think my mind and ideas that I feel the most high was giving me were being valued or accepted at the church. Martin Street Church of God, Glenwood Avenue. Love y'all, but to be honest.
The church is still open.
Yeah, it's the one I go to on every other Saturday to their Bible study.
The book club.
And I only go to the book club because we're actually learning young people as we should together and reading together. It's so basically with me. I believe this may be like 2019. I remember I was very serious on like, the youth are dead in this church. Like, there's literally no youth. Like, it's literally little kids. The gap of 18 to like higher 20s, and then starts at 30 or something again. Going on, or mid 30s, and you're right. So you miss that whole, and I'm just like, we're not doing much. Like, we're not in the street no more, doing outreach. We're literally placed right around all these big colleges in the city. Why is this big building that has multiple buildings, by the way? They have like 3 buildings, right? Why is the pews empty? And what I did was I got recordings from the young and old people in the church, and to get their opinions on their view of the church and where it's at and congregation and stuff. And people gave their honest reviews, and I created a PowerPoint presentation as well with it.
Which was very bold of you.
Yeah, and I went to the board. I set up a meeting with them, and the meeting went, and it was just kind of like, I could just kind of tell, like, what I was saying made sense. But the problem is, it's such a traditional church. This is how we've always do it. We list pacify and satisfy our old people. Like, the church used to be popping. Young kids. This church used to be popping back in the day, but they just stayed still in time, And, all that happened from that meeting was the pastor came to like the youth Wednesday night Bible study one day, and that was literally it. So from that point, now I'm mad, right? Now I'm mad. So I had my quote unquote tables, Jesus flipping tables moment, I was very loud on social media. I had a meeting with the pastor too. After the fact, I was asking about 501c3 and this and that, what's going on. Long story short, all I needed to hear from, and I also I learned that his mom and dad were both Freemason Eastern Stars.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So now I'm thinking, wait a minute. You know what?
That's off. Something is very
fast
off
forward.
with that.
Fast forward. I had that meeting and found that out a few years later from that in 2019. But in hindsight, after I had that second meeting with him years later, now I understand what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? It's a curse, man. It's a real cursing, man. You can't be a part of these organizations and think your congregation is going to be blessed. I don't know if he's a part of any of it, but I started looking at the hand gestures.
It's not the hand gesture.
After that, yeah. But
He started
ultimately,
preaching with his hands in his pocket.
But ultimately, I got really loud on social media. I was talking against the pastor.
Yeah.
I was talking against the church. I'm like, y'all is dead. Y'all not doing nothing. Y'all is nothing like, the rebels of the early belief. I was just hard. And then from that point on, that's when I had a vision from the Most High. I told y'all about that 5-minute experience. And then that was the last day I was in that church, from that. And that was my church, just feeling like it wasn't valued as a young person. And honestly, that's where most churches have died, is that they're not pouring into the youth and don't realize they got to constantly pour into the future.
Yeah.
So, my healing, for years I felt like I was kind of still being rejected over and over again, because I could tell with stuff I post, people was like, against it. And, fast forward, I had that meeting, that second meeting with the pastor that I found that out about him, because me and my boy Jeremiah started a book club. We had some ideas. And I was explaining to him everything that happened back in 2019. Like, okay, you're not on social media, you didn't see, but a lot of people was mad at me because of the stuff I was saying. Because they announced I was going to be on the book club. This is like maybe 2022 or something.
They're like, this guy.
And then
the one who came and flipped all these tables.
the pastor said, not literally, right? You guys and literally flip tables. The pastor did not know
For that to be the
I just want them to know.
Start anything. They're like, no, no. Like,
Well,
he's not allowed to start a book club after that behavior.
Well, you know what's funny? My dad, my most people thought my dad was going to be the pastor of that church. But the problem is he was too radical for their traditional mindset. He was way too radical. And so, it was funny. After I did that PowerPoint, he'd tell me, Brandon, I did the same thing. Like, and now he's, pastor for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
That's actually really dope.
I'm like
father like son.
See, I'm not the Hokage. I'm the shadow behind the Hokage. If you know Naruto terms, any of y'all know that, I'm the shadow figure that supports the leadership.
The anime talk is always
the underboss.
I'm not Sonic, I'm Shadow. Or
I got you.
I'm not you know what I mean. But anyways,
shadow government.
But I wasn't starting it. Jeremiah, who was their youth leader, he was starting, but I was going to be on the board because me and Jeremiah came up with the idea of the golf club. And he told me that once they announced my name on that pulpit, he got calls from all over the country. You're gonna let Meshack back in? You're gonna let Meshack, in the church? You're gonna let him lead? You're gonna let I'm like, all over the country, from pastors, members, and all different type of leadership.
What kind of church is this?
This is Church of God, non-denomination.
So Kojic or?
I don't know, non-denomination.
Non-denominational.
Church of God, yeah.
Church of God in Christ, I think is Kojic. But
Yeah, this is non-denomination Church of God. But yeah, man, and
definitely part of some sort of.
yeah, so like, for me, I had no grudges against nobody, but I was just mad because I felt like nobody was talking to me specifically.
Right.
Y'all are going around talking to the preacher. Even people was going and talking to my parents about me.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like, what happened to if you have an audit against your brother, go to him?
Yeah, directly to him,
So I had to get a lot of forgiveness and stuff in me, and not looking down my nose at these very people I actually grew up with.
Yeah.
And I think the Most High, that didn't completely steer me away from the church.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a vehicle or a trigger that brought me into the truth, to learn that the building is not the church, it's the people that's the church.
Right.
And I can go to any building, any whatever, and find the church, which is not everybody in that building, but some true believers. So that's my experience with church.
That's
for
good.
real.
My experience with church has been like I don't think I've had moments where I was necessarily hurt by a congregation of people or anything, but I know that like church hurt exists in me. Two, one, because I kind of like refuse to join a church. Like, I think I've been going to PCC, and I don't even know if there's a joining process, but like I want to be PCC, like I've gone to Boom, I kind of refuse to join Boom. I decided I'm about to start going back to Refuge, and just like a relationship or anything else, like I can see the red flags in my church hurt in the fact that I just literally refuse to join anybody's church, like, but, and then for multiple years, I also refused to participate in anyone's feast days. Like, if I've been doing Passover at home, I didn't stop celebrating Christmas so that when Passover comes, I have to go run and be a part of someone's congregation in order to do Passover. Like, no, I don't trust anybody. I don't know how anybody's doing this, so I'm just gonna do this at home on my own. Yeah. So like, I know it's kind of there, but my my example of like the full circle moment was when I got to call my childhood pastor, who was like the pastor of the family church I went to in Kansas City, and asked him if he was aware of some of the things that I had been learning about the holidays and who the people are of the word, and why are we doing Christmas if there's so much paganness? Like, are you aware that those practices are not of the Most High? And my pastor of my childhood church that my entire family attended was like, yes, I'm aware. In my house, we stopped putting up a tree a number of years ago. And I asked him, did that information like matriculate to the way that you run the church? No. So you stopped putting up a tree in your house because you knew that what you were doing was not based on...
And he said years ago.
For multiple years. And you said nothing to your entire congregation?
And I've heard of a pastor, he said him and his family just started doing the feast days together, and that he's going to introduce it
to the
oncoming year after his experience.
Multiple years have gone by.
That's different.
And he said there's an agreed upon holiday season, and because his church is in an urban community neighborhood in Kansas City, Missouri, he feels like the people have a lot bigger issues and problems of fatherlessness and drug abuse, poverty, and all of these things, and he has got to focus on what they need and not focus on so much about being in the truth. So the conversation kind of went into a back and forth, like, yeah, it went into a place of like me continuing to ask questions and then him eventually being like, all right, well, like I've got to go, like we can have this conversation another time, and we never spoke about it again. So I think that was like my flipping tables moment. But what I've heard most about church hurt is...
Look at us, from two rebels in a pod.
Yeah, we have so much in common. That was my moment, but like, and he's still he's my uncle, so like, I still see him, and it's fine. I haven't asked him again about it, but I've actually had more moments where, for example, the guy I was dating in college, he was like, Christianity is the white man's religion, but this was way before I was in the truth, so I'm like, no, it's not, like, you need to love Jesus, and he's like, you need to wake up, and I'm like, had no idea about Hebrewism. There was no in between for us. He was like, Christianity is a white man's religion, and you're asleep, and I was like, you're a heathen and you're hurt, like, and his reason for being hurt was like, I look around, he was from Birmingham, it's like, I look around, I'm from a very poor neighborhood, family never did well, like, my uncle had to do for us, he was a janitor, but we're at church 4 days a week, like, we're over here, like, the church is providing, like, cheap food and, you know, so forth. It's supposed to be a place of solace, but all I see is, like, my family breaking their backs to try and do all this tithing and giving to this, like, place that, like, never changes. Like, this building has been paid off for years. Like, where is this money going to? So he was coming from the perspective of, like, every hood you see a liquor store, a Baptist church, and, like, this has to be feeding that. In his perspective, like, this is the church is not healing the hood. The church is taking from the hood. And I'm not from, like, my experience isn't that. I'm from the suburbs, so I've never seen it from that. And from there, I'm like, okay, well, I can see why he feels that way, why he feels like this is just a bunch of our grandmas and TTs, like, giving their last when they really don't have it, trying to support these pastors who are riding around in nice cars, and, like, that would make a person lose their faith. Like, that alone would make someone be like, you know what, if I do anything in life, this is what I'm not going to do. And a lot of people have fallen off from those churches. A lot of those same Baptist churches that are in every hood are, like, closing and coming up short and empty. So it's like, I feel like it's time for us to, like, take back the church and the people and But I mean, I have my reservations all the time though. Like even where we go and everything, I'm like questions on leadership and growth and what does the future look like here and what are the people really getting out of this experience. Like I toggle back and forth with that, but I feel like at least the truth is being told here to a certain extent. And like as long as we're doing that, then we must be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I know, but I also follow on a little bit of 11 lump is the whole lump. You know what I mean? So I feel like truth has to be in totality. It really can't. It really we're moving to a area in the world where there cannot be wrong doctrine. I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the full truth needs to be preached. And we need to stop this. Oh, well, this truth is more important than this truth in the truth. Golly, I'm tired of it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, like, I feel you on that. Especially on, like, I guess, coming across, like, the holidays and then asking them about it. Like, I've asked certain things, like that, even with my dad. And so, like, I've experienced, quote unquote, church hurt from, even him, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
In our conversations of, him not necessarily thinking, this whole identity thing is important at all. It's secondly important to our salvation. But if everything that comes after salvation looks wrong, then what do you also have? Like okay, so like a lot of times people say like, okay, our faith in Messiah, our salvation is more important than our identity, right? And being Israelites, right? Okay, I agree. But if everything after your salvation and how you fulfill it and the tradition you adhere to don't look like it's in the Word, then
right.
What is that?
Yeah.
So it's I've had a tons of these conversations with my mom, my dad. Thankfully, they've come around because of their own conversations, planting a seed amongst their peers.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is a lot more on the way. My dad is a little bit more on the way, except he'll kind of tease me a little bit more so. But I know how my dad is. He a little prideful,
Yeah.
He a little ego. He don't want me to really know that he don't want me to know how much knowledge he got.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Not after.
he wants to feel like
He's
dad.
held like this perspective for so long. He would have to completely fold and say that you were like right about everything. Like I don't even know if he's would ever do that.
Well, you know what it was. Well, he told I was like, okay, we had the Black Jesus painting. He was like, well, you never really showed interest in the Word to go into some certain subjects. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe it's these certain subjects that we didn't go through that actually kept my disinterest.
Yeah.
I don't even though you got Black Jesus up at home,
Mm-hmm.
that don't mean that all the other images I see don't plague my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, cool, your church you grew up with in New York had Black paintings and all this stuff. Doesn't mean once you leave, like you know what I mean? Granted, again, those things aren't the most important.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a little bit of leaven's a whole lump, for me.
I think a lot of church hurt stems from doctrine of men.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of two things I just picked up from your guys' experience with the holidays and those, supposedly being holy, and not celebrating the feast days, how the Most High commands us to celebrate them forever. And the doctrine of the replacement theology with Israel, you know what I mean, and who truly is Israel. And I think that has it from those two like roots. Other forms of hurt have come via the establishment of the church in the I don't want to say hundreds, but like the X amount of denominations that there are. Everyone has their own little thinking. There's those holiday calendars, and you got everyone. Almost every church, I would say, probably not every church, but like the majority of churches are giving money towards that state over there, to those people, and it's not according to the Most High's word. It's just it came from the sense of the doctrine of man. Like I mean, I think my biggest thing is the with my grandmother is the rapture. Like she still believes in that, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why, and it seems like it just seems so deceptive to me to just preaching that message to people, especially when they first come, because you're teaching them basically that the Most High is so merciful that He's going to yank us all out before we have to actually prove our faith in Him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's problematic, and I'm like, well, why would you continue to tell people this? You know, why would you even give them that? It's a false sense of hope. But yeah, it's the doctrines of men. I think as I'm listening to you guys talk about your experiences.
Yeah, and I'll probably even call his church hurt. I mean, not nothing major, but you know, I was lyrically a monster. You know, when I was younger, man. Like, if I had like a real bad disagreement with a homie, like my tongue, dog, it was bad, man. So I'm probably sure I've heard a feeling or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so I pray the Most High, you know, is healed, you know, those situations. But you know, yeah, man. At the end of the day, like the church hurt can't have us, you know, leave the actual body. You know, you might leave a building, but you should never leave the body. You know?
Right.
Deal with your church hurt.
Yeah, everybody might have a season like even I had, but like being by myself and studying. The Most High probably wants you to have for yourself a real season, but He wants you in the body. You know,
Right.
working members. So yeah, don't let dirty churches or corrupt people or their politics and all that, you know, steer you away from the Most High and the Son. You know, you have to keep your relationship, because at the end of the day, none of these people on this earth represent the Messiah all the way how He should be represented.
Come on.
You know, so
Don't let that church hurt lead you to hell.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's real. So our alternative thought for this episode, we are talking about what if it never happened, and we see, was it this week that there's the anniversary,
Yeah.
the Tulsa Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the alternative thought is, what if it never happened? And that's a good example of one incident that happened that we see an anniversary for, the Tulsa race riots and massacre. But another one is just so many of the other injustices that have happened to our people out here in America.
Right. Where we like go and build something.
Yeah.
And before we can even get a chance to possibly get ahead or establish something for ourselves, they burn it down. They erase the history of its existence, and they let us start from scratch again.
Or they put it in law that that's not how it should be, or like just basically putting blockers in the way. Like I mean, the example I think of is like, what if we actually got 40 acres and a mule back in the 1800s after slavery ended?
We would be in a different. I swear, I don't even know if the Jordan tennis shoe would exist if we would have 40 acres.
I don't know.
Like we would be doing, life would be so different if our great grandparents all got 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah.
Like imagine because our great grandparents, they were married. Like that was the so we'd have 80 acres per household.
Yeah.
And 2 mules.
But that's just from one. That's just from one line though.
That's
Think
one
about
line.
the multiple lines that they create though.
Right.
You know.
And each of them gets the same.
Yeah. Or just
marriage.
even passing it down, but.
We would probably run we would run them out by now if that was the case. If they actually gave us what we owed.
Yeah, I think because there's definitely millions of people enslaved, you know, or at least hundreds of thousands of people enslaved.
And if the Tulsa Massacre never happened, I think there would have been a lot more cities like that. Like Tulsa, Oklahoma would have been that version of Atlanta. And there would have been other cities like that where black people came and put their resources together and built their own banks and hospitals and everything that Dr. Umar talks about. And it just would have been the norm. It wouldn't be like Atlanta is the one mecca and everyone's trying to move here despite all the traffic and high rent because this is the only place that black people can flourish. There would be towns like that across the country.
And it's not like Europeans still don't own the majority of stuff in Atlanta anyway, so.
Right. Like all those clubs with all the bottles y'all be buying, they're all owned by Arabs.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because that's actually what the word, I can't think of the verse right up top, but it talks about how, you know, the Most High would basically, like, anytime Yahshua tries to come back together, how he'll, you know,
allow it to be cut down.
Yeah, until it's time, you know.
Until time, yeah.
But he let the fake state, you know, come into play. It's kind of like those little things already kind of show you the truth too, if you really read. So I just look forward to that one time he actually lets us get there, you know, reunites us.
It's gonna be insane. I think it's clearly it's gonna be evident that it's the hand of the Most High working and giving us favor. I think, and I also know that the back pay is going to be, I guess, well worth it. I guess, or like it's going to be. It'll just make us forget about all of it, you know.
Yeah.
Probably not forget.
Spiritual
You know,
reparations.
yeah, you know, just like the blessings, really.
One of the most interesting things or perspectives about looking at events like this and coming into the truth is how the 180 the 180 your mind does in perspective to this stuff.
Yeah.
It goes from, you know, for me from, you know, I hate these people, I hate what they've done to my people, so frustrated, just mad and questions and this, to I understand it now, and for people who crucified, for a bloodline who crucified the Messiah, we deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, and it sounds crazy when other people hear that.
Yeah, it does.
But again, it's a thing of, in your perspective, if you could really think, if you are of that bloodline, and your great grandmother was one of those people who said, "Let His blood be on us and our children." You know,
so we are the children. You know, that's what we're dealing with.
And it's not, so it's just one of those things where you just constantly have a heart posture of, "Dang, like, I pray I do better. I pray my seed does better. I pray, like think about it. We're in, like,
so amazing.
Like, you know, you gotta think, like, in our bloodlines. Shoot, thank our ancestors for whoever in our bloodline got life right for us to be blessed today.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, somewhere after the Messiah was resurrected, killed and resurrected, there was somebody in my bloodline who got things right, and it blessed that ancestor to all the way to me.
I like to think I was raised by the women that got things right. I've told y'all a few times that both of my great grandmothers are alive, and they're in their 90s.
Wow.
And I just think of all the women in my family that came before me, and like are who they are, and I'm who I am because of them, and like the blessings that have been associated with that. Like, I know the women. They raised me. Like, I don't wonder about them. I literally know them.
To your point, Brandon, I think like that's why repentance is so key. And I was just thinking about how literally Yeshua, like, I think it was in Matthew 4, he's like, repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And then with the knowledge of knowing that, you know, we're the ones who crucified him, it's like, damn, we really need to repent all the more, like right now. Not even just for like things that we've done, but for the things that our ancestors have done. And then my mind goes to, for if my people are called by my name, you know, I think it's like, repentance is really...
No, we gotta finish that verse. And finish the verse. Finish it.
My people who are called by my name.
Yes.
Will pray and seek my face.
Shall humble themselves and pray.
Shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face.
Then
I'll hear from heaven.
And I will heal their lands. That's what we need.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, we have repentance, man.
Yeah, man. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important, man. Granted, we hate it's happened to us, man, but we understand it, man. And at the end of the day, man, I just, you know, we pray in this day and age, you know, we don't have to go through some of that stuff. We pray Jacob's trouble has, you know, is in the past.
Yeah, it's in the past. I definitely am seeing a shift happen.
Yep, for sure.
Among more people, those that are waking up to who we are and being blessed by the Most High.
Too true.
Yeah. So let's get it wrapped up here. Financial news. So, one of the websites that I like to use, Atlantic Council. This is in regards to central bank digital currencies. They actually put out an article. It was a couple weeks ago. It says, "Don't let the U.S. become the only country to ban CBDCs." So right now, there's a lot of digital asset legislation being promoted. So the U.S. House of Representatives is set to take up, and this is what the article says, U.S. House of Representatives is set to take up H.R. 5403, also known as the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act. While the bill has received far less attention than the cryptocurrency regulation efforts being moved alongside it, its passage could do significant damage to the future of the dollar and curb innovation across both the public and private sector. CBDCs are a digital form of a country's fiat currency, like an electronic version of cash. The difference between a CBDC and the money one uses on, for example, the payment service like Venmo or the Bank of America app, is that a CBDC is a liability of a country's central bank, not a commercial bank. Now, this was an interesting, little sentence that they put here, talking about its passage could do significant damage to the future of the dollar and curb innovation in regards to a central bank digital currency. So, in a sense, it's giving me this act, the CBDC Anti-Surveillance Act, which is
It's
something
slowing
that's
the
important.
process.
Yeah,
It's slowing it down.
for our privacy. They're saying that this could slow down the process of innovating for digital currencies being issued by a central bank, and also could do damage to the future of the dollar. I don't believe that. Damage has already been done, and I think naturally we're just gonna stop printing out dollar bills because it just doesn't make sense. We have all this technology, but
I think that this is good news for us because it shows that we're not in a state of where they can just roll out anything and we just have to take it and accept it. Like, obviously, this is evidence that enough people came together and was like, hey, we need more privacy, we need to slow this, we need safeguards to protect people. So now the government has to react to that.
yeah,
Until they cause a tragedy
yeah,
that makes them have to move forward.
And they say,
Yeah.
oh, for everyone's safety, we're going to take your personal freedoms away for safety.
literally.
But this is the opposite. This is saying, let's slow surveillance, let's increase privacy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the World
That's if it
Health
gets passed, though.
Organization just failed at securing some type of power over states and such. So, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, the Most High, he's speeding up the time, but he's also giving a little time.
yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, I used to think that world was gonna end freaking 2030.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a little bit more time. I don't know.
Maybe we'll grow old.
Man,
Yeah.
But Most High, forgive me for spreading false information. At one
Same.
point. I wasn't talking about the world's gonna end. I was never that person, but I was like, people are gonna die.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I was definitely just telling people everybody's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's literally what.
I mean, hey.
I'm glad you were wrong.
Well,
It's better that you were wrong.
People
not
die.
everybody.
Right.
No. Well, I mean,
Like
there
mass.
are a lot of deaths being. There's still a lot of bad sane deaths being covered.
Yeah,
up,
there are.
For one.
Yeah.
So I honestly still feel it was half right,
You think
but
you're
I was thinking
also,
we was
time
gonna be.
hasn't happened enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was
Things
true.
to-
I was thinking we'd be in nuclear
slow
war
down.
by now, though. I did think that. I did think we'd see some cities get wiped out by started tsunamis.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
I'm glad you were wrong. You were not. It's good that you were wrong.
yeah, it is. Look, she thinks I wouldn't be right about it.
You're honestly trying to conjure it up again.
No.
You're wrong, bro. It's cool.
That's
No,
funny.
man. No,
That's
I'm glad. I love my family.
Right.
One other thing I think with the CBDCs, and I heard this from in a higher up, in the blockchain finance space, he said that if countries are, well, he was saying he sees the rollout of a central bank digital currency happening with the promotion of Bitcoin as legal use, and then starting to introduce more forms of currency that can be
Yeah.
in legal use. So Bitcoin is one cryptocurrency. That's the first one, and he's saying like in European countries, they're more along that wave of, okay, like we'll have the pound, but then also we're gonna make Bitcoin legal tender here as well, and start to basically integrate it more into society, so people start to just get more used to digital currency, and then boom, maybe hit them with the central bank digital currency. So just want to make that little note, but yeah, wild times. Very, very interesting.
Interesting stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, look at us, man, ending a little bit before on time today.
Yeah, this is good. Good timing, guys.
Yeah,
No,
man.
good chat. Thanks for your transparency on the church hurt.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, I've actually cried over that too.
Oh,
I'm gonna flex. I've ugly cried.
Brandon, you've cried?
you have tear ducts
You have
to where
tear ducts?
tears can come out and
Like
can,
ugly cry.
Oh wow.
Aw. So he was
Like
actually
beating.
Now it wasn't over that specifically. It was wrapped up.
Yeah.
It was a couple different things.
you were like
but
disconnected from your family and stuff.
yeah, just like I feel like everything I grew up knowing I was
Yeah.
doing,
It's
Yeah.
tough.
But it's all good, man.
All praise to the Most High, man.
All praises.
He is
The
faithful.
Most High is
Yes, he
here
do.
to bless, not take away from us.
Mhm. Amen. Amen.
So-
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Kingdom Outkast podcast. Make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe. Do what you need to do. But we appreciate you.
For sure. And
Yes.
if you feel like you want to bless us, that is money tag at Kingdom Outkast Pod for Cash App. And we'll use it to, of course, give you guys better quality. All right. Appreciate you hanging with us.
Yes.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.